I got a lot of stuff to do to the Mazda. I've been driving it a ton lately since I finally got it back up and running 100%. But it's taken a beating here or there, so now it's time to finally go and give it a once over and get it back up and running the way it's supposed to. The biggest issue I've had with this so far is since I've been driving it so much, an old problem kind of crept up and started happening again. It's actually kind of a cutting problem. It's where the spark plug isn't igniting the fuel mixture inside the cylinder, so it's just not, the ignition isn't working for one of the cylinders basically. So I'm going to go ahead and try to diagnose that with you guys. I'll let you hear what it sounds like when it starts to happen, so then you can kind of replicate this if it happens in your car as well. It should really be for any car. They make this kind of noise, and it shows that there's either a fuel problem, fuel's not getting in the cylinder, or the ignition isn't actually exploding the stroke. So we'll see what's going on with this thing in just a second. Alright, so right there you can hear the misfire happening. It's very, very obvious. I've actually already gone ahead and figured out what it was. This screw right here, or this bolt actually that's holding the ignition coil on, came loose and was just letting this kind of flop around a little bit. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take all these off and go ahead and check the plugs. It's been a while since I've done plugs, at least a year. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of check that stuff out. But there's one issue already fixed. So I have had this issue once before. What it ended up being was these plugs, when they go into the ignition coil, and that these wires are all wrapped right into the wiring loom, so you can't replace these. But basically what was happening was these plugs and the connection between these plugs and the coil was corroded just a little bit, and when you would pull these off, there was just like this black, not black. When you would pull these off, there was this white powder that would kind of pop out of the plugs, and that's how you know it's kind of corroded. What I was able to do to fix that in the past was run some electric cleaner through each plug and into the ignition coil, and just kind of clean up everything with like a wire brush. Once I did that, the car has been good for the past year or so, and now the problem just came back. Even though I just diagnosed that it was that screw that was kind of letting that ignition coil come up, I'm going to check all the plugs, make sure they're not corroded, so that we don't run into this issue again. Alright, so for this application, I'm going to be using some electronic parts cleaner from CRC, and also some of their grease. I just went to AutoZone and picked some of this stuff up. Just around 10 bucks per bottle. So I got my first coil right here. I'll go ahead and give it a good spray. In here too. Kind of get it all good. Now I'm going to let this dry before I put the grease on. Which it doesn't take long for it to dry. It's a quick drying solution. I'm also going to get the plug inside the car. That's it for the cleaning. So here's the electric grease. Gotta go ahead and pull this tab off. Says you're supposed to remove this. There we go. So we want to go to a small low setting on this. Oh, and there's the grease right there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a very small amount and put it on the actual metal pieces. And then I'm also going to do a small one on the inside of here, just to try to eliminate any debris getting in. So I'm just kind of like getting a little bit and then moving it around on the inside here. It'll all wear in eventually as well across the plug. I'm going to do a little bit on the outside lip too. That should be good for that. And I'll throw a little bit across here, just like that. You can do a lot on the spark plug side, and on just reinstall it. The last spot I'm going to get with the electric grease is going to be on the plug as well. Tighten it down pretty well, and then you're going to repeat the process for all 4 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I just wrapped up with putting the coils back on and plugging everything back in, putting all the grease on, and it's looking good. But one thing that I can't stand about this engine bay right now is it is so dusty from the whole summer driving this thing around. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the pressure washer out, throw some degreaser down on it, spray her, and see how good she looks afterwards. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and spray it down with this wax and grease remover. Cover the battery back up. So you can't tell me that that doesn't look way better. Of course it's wet right now, but there's also another trick to try to keep this sort of look to the car. So I'll let it dry off for a little bit, come back and show you that tip in just a minute. So when it comes to battery cleaning, there's really one way that I try to use the most, and that's one of these guys. This is a terminal wire brush, and it kind of fits over the terminals, both the male and the female end, to clean them out of the corrosion. So right now I'm using the female end of the wire brush to clean this terminal off. I'm going to go ahead and do is grab a little rag here and wipe the corrosion away. It's a little wet from when I just sprayed the car down. And you can actually lose power with built-up corrosion. You see it in a lot of old cars. And this is definitely a way you can lose power. The less voltage going to your ignition system and stuff will decrease the amount of power you have. The more accessories you have while you're running, or like racing, the less power you'll end up having. If you ever see someone shut off the radio and all their other junk, I don't know if that's really that much of a difference, but it can be. just trying to wipe away the corrosion. You know, the less that we leave, the longer it'll take for it to come back. This is something you should routinely do on your car, especially if it's over 10 years old or almost 20 years old. This car is about to get 10 years old next year. Here is the other end of it. Give both of them a nice little clean with that. Put it away. New clean rag, and give her one wipe. Final wipe down here. And just before we finish, we go ahead and throw just a nice little layer of grease on the inside of this. Nothing too crazy. Doesn't have to be a large amount. Just getting a little bit on there. There's that one. There's that one. Alright, so this case will go back on top of here. Continue to dry. Feed my wires back around. And there we go. Alright, so the other day I was driving down the street and this little wire was hanging down, hitting the ground, and that is my fog light wire. So I went ahead and zip tied it up here so it stopped dragging across the street. Now I gotta figure out a way to make this broke ass plug fit back into my fog light, because honestly the car doesn't look the same without them on. So here we go. Got the bumper off already. Go run that wire back underneath and see if it still plugs in. Alright, so I went ahead and got the lights back plugged in. I do have to kind of fix this so it doesn't hang down anymore. I gotta put it back in its spot, but both fogs are on again. There we go. So it's time to put this back together and move on to the next weird thing that I gotta do. Alright, so a while ago I got a little package in the mail from Mazda Movement. Sent me a couple little things, a little sticker. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on real quick. Sticking it right above the Mickey Mechanics logo. Thought that was like the best spot for it, really. Just gonna clean up the surface so it actually sticks. Tacked her down nice. I was gonna get rid of the transfer paper. Nice. Looks and fits perfectly. Nice vinyl too. No ripples or anything. Not like my first one here. You can see a couple. There's one. There's one. This was like my first piece I ever did on a vinyl cutter, and I stuck it on my car. It looks alright. You can't tell from here that it's messed up, but that live MM looks great. Thanks again.